everyone, welcome to our Gelling 101 video where we will show you all the steps you will need to successfully gel your athlete's hair this season. The first thing you're going to want to do is to grab all your equipment. You will need small hair elastics, big hair elastics, bun pins, bobby pins, Knox gelatin, a spoon, a comb, a paintbrush, your athlete's bun cover, and if your athlete has bangs, you may want to get a circular stretch cone to help pin back the bangs, but that is optional. In addition, you will need a measuring cup, a container or a crock pot, depending on which method you choose to use. Both will be shown in this video. And if you are choosing to not use a crock pot, you will also need a kettle. As well, not pictured, you will need a towel, and you may want to use a hairdryer. Next, we're going to move on to making the gel. In this video, we will show you the traditional method as well as the crock pot method. Before we get into making the gel, I did want to point out that you will not be using the instructions for how to make gel that are listed on the box. Instead, you're going to use the ratio of 1/3 of a cup of water to 4 packages of gel, which makes up 1 box. If you do use the instructions on the box, your gel is going to end up being the wrong consistency, and it just won't stay in the athlete's hair as well, so you really want to make sure that you're using this ratio. In addition, you may need to use more gel than what's used in this video. Right now, we're doing the traditional 1/3 of a cup of water to 4 packages of gel, but depending on your athlete's thickness of hair, you may need more than this. This is really trial and error, so the first time you come to gel, I suggest bringing more boxes of gel than you think you need to make sure that you have enough for the athlete's hair. Moving on to actually making the gel, this is the traditional method that we're looking at and I'm going to be talking about right now. So the first step is boiling your water in your kettle and pouring 1/3 of a cup into the measuring cup. Then you're going to want to put your gel to the side after you've put it in the container and pour in a little bit at a time. So what you're going to do with your spoon is you're not actually going to mix it. What you want to do is kind of like push the gel to combine it. So you're going to do that a little bit. Then you're going to add more water and keep doing it until all the gel is combined. And basically what you're doing it until there are no more clumps that can be seen in the gel. When there are no more clumps and it looks like it's all combined, then your gel is ready to go. Now, if you are choosing to use this traditional method, it is really important that you put your athlete's hair up in a bun before you begin making the gel, as the gel needs to go in the athlete's hair while the gel is still hot. And if you wait too long, the gel can cool and harden and it just won't be the same consistency when you put it in. Now, you're just going to continue mixing and mixing the gel and pushing it down until there's no clumps, and by that point, it'll look like this. When your gel looks like this, you are ready to begin the gelling process. Next up, we're going to be showing you how to make gel using the crock pot method. So, like the traditional method, you're still going to be using the same gel to water ratio, which is 1/3 of a cup of water to 4 packages of gel. So the big difference between these two methods is for the crock pot method, you do not need to use boiling water. You can use cold or room temperature water. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add your 1/3 of a cup of water into your crock pot. Then once you've done that, you're going to add your 4 packages of gel into the crock pot on top of water. Now, unlike the traditional method, you do not need to mix the gel until it's not clumpy. What you're actually going to do is give it a quick little stir, and then you're going to cover it and let it sit for a little bit. While that happens, the gel will get into the water and melt. You're going to come back to it a couple times while you're waiting and give it a stir, but you don't need to stir it until it's not clumpy. Now, something that is really great about the crock pot method is that you're able to make the gel in advance. So you can make it before you start putting your athlete's hair in a bun, or you could even make it the night before or the morning of. Wait for it to be the right consistency, then you can unplug your crock pot and then plug it back in when you're ready to go. Now, when you're actually stirring the gel, it's going to look like it's the wrong consistency. This is one of those times when you just need to trust the process. Let it melt and it will get to the right consistency, even though for a little bit it looks like the very wrong consistency like you're looking at here. When your gel looks like this is your signal that it is done and it is ready to go. Now, before you start gelling, you're going to want to take off the kind of like bubbly type bits at the top. By doing this, you're going to ensure that the gel is shinier and there's less clumps in the hair. So you're just going to want to skim the top a little bit and then you'll be ready to go. When your gel looks like this, you are ready to begin gelling. Next, we are going to show you how to make the perfect bun for gelling. Now, we're going to begin making the bun. Before you start making your bun, you want to make sure that there are no knots in your athlete's hair. So brush it out so that it's nice and smooth. Once the hair is nice and knotless, you're going to begin pinning it up into a ponytail. Now, the magic height for a bun for gelling is basically from the tip of the ears. If you drew a line all the way up to where the bun meets, it would be sitting at where the bottom of the bun sits. So you're going to want to make your ponytail just slightly above that point so that the base of the bun sits at that point. Now, it's really important that when you're doing this, you're making sure that there are no bumps in the hair, no little like hair clumps. You want to smooth everything out, as when there are bumps, it makes the gel harder to stick to the hair. This is really common, especially at the back of the hair. As well, it is really important that you are making a tight ponytail. You do not want to have a loose ponytail. So if your athlete has thick hair, you should definitely be putting 2 hair elastics in there to make sure that it's nice and tight, because you really want the hair pulled back, because if it's loose, again, the gel is not going to work as well. Once your athlete's hair is in a nice tight ponytail, that is when you are going to begin braiding the hair. Now, if a coach has ever told you to have your athlete's hair up in a braided bun, this is what they mean. So basically what you do is you separate the hair into separate pieces to make braids. Typically, the amount of braids is 3. However, this depends on the thickness of your athlete's hair. If your athlete is really, really thick hair, you might need to do 5 or 6. And if they have really, really thin hair, they may only need to do 2. 3 is just the baseline that we start off with. So you're just going to braid it all the way to the bottom, and then this is when you're going to use the small hair elastics to secure the bottom of the braid. It is also really important to make sure that you're doing tight braids, because again, if you have loose braids, it's going to be harder to bobby pin the hair into the bun. So you want to get as tight of braids as you can. Once your first braid is done, you're going to continue the braiding process, making them all just as tight until you have your desired amount of braids. It's also really important that you're trying to make the braids an even size. You don't want one that's really, really big and then one that's really, really small. You want them the same size. So yeah, just continue until you have as many braids as you think you need for your athlete's hair thickness. Okay, once you've reached the desired amount of braids for your athlete's hair thickness, you're going to begin making the actual bun. So now to make the bun, you're going to take each braid and wrap it around the base of the ponytail. So when you do this, you're going to secure it with a mixture of bun pins as well as bobby pins. So now the number of each you're going to use is going to be based on the thickness of your athlete's hair. If your athlete has really fine hair, you may need to use more of the regular bobby pins. Whereas if your athlete has thicker hair, you're probably going to want to use more bun pins. So you're going to keep doing this for each section of the braid until you've reached a full bun, trying to make the hair bun as even as possible. Now, when you're putting bobby pins in, you may put bobby pins in where they're sticking more into the athlete's head than into the hair. So if your athlete is finding this uncomfortable, it's really important that you take it out and reposition it now, because after the bun cover is on, the gelling process has started, it is too late to fix any bobby pins that may be sticking into their head, and we want to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible before we begin the gelling process. If your athlete has bangs, you're also going to need to pin those back, so you can use a bobby pin or you can use one of the circular stretch combs like we talked about earlier. Once you think your bun is done, you're going to want to move on to the shake test. What the shake test is it just tests to see if your bun is tight enough. So what your athlete is going to do is they're going to shake their head in a bunch of crazy directions to see if the bun moves. If the bun does not move, it means you are done and you are ready to move on to the gelling process. If the bun is moving a little bit, it may just mean you need to add a few more bobby pins, or it might mean that your braids aren't tight enough or the ponytail isn't tight enough, which may mean you need to start and go back to the beginning. This is why making sure everything is tight is so important. Next, it is finally time to move on to actually gelling the hair. So before you begin gelling hair, you're going to want to have your athlete wrap a towel around themselves. This is to prevent any gel from getting on their clothes, as when the gel gets on the clothes, it is very hard to come out. The next thing you're going to want to do is dip your comb into the gel. What you're going to do then is you're going to take the gel and the comb and you're going to comb the hair back with the gel and the comb. This helps with any baby hairs to stick them back. It's also really good if you have bangs, as there's more hair to get back. Once you've done that, that is when you're going to go in with your paintbrush. When you are gelling with the paintbrush, it is really important that you are getting all of the hair gelled, as if you happen to start a little bit too far back, water can actually get in through the gel and that'll make the gel fall off while the athlete's swimming. So it's really important that you're getting all of the hair gelled back. As well, if you happen to at any point get gel in your athlete's eyebrows, do not try and peel it out. You're going to want to go in with like a hot damp towel to get it out, because otherwise you might rip off some eyebrow hairs. In addition, this is the part that athletes find the most uncomfortable, as you are putting in hot gelatin into their hair. So make sure that you're being really patient with them. because this is not the most fun process for them. When you're gelling, it's really important that you get a bunch on the back of the head as well, as if your hair is going to fall out in the gel. This is the spot where it comes out the most, just because the hair is a little bit thicker there. So you're going to want to put more coats than you do on the top. In general, you probably want to put minimum of 3 to 4 coats of gel in your athlete's hair. But if your athlete has thicker hair, you're going to want to do more. Again, this is really trial and error to see what works best for your athlete. I know I would always put in like 10 coats of gel in my hair because I did not want it to come off. But also sometimes if you put too much gel, that's when it stops looking shiny and it starts looking a little bit more matte. So it's kind of finding the right balance through trial of error of how much gel you want. In between each layer of gel, you're going to want to let the hair dry. So this is when you can use the hair dryer. So if you do use the hair dryer, you're going to want to use it on like a cool setting. Otherwise the gel will just stay melted. Also, if you happen to be gelling multiple athletes, you can also just let the hair dry by themselves while you move on to do the next coat for the other athlete. But it's really important that you're waiting for the hair to be gel to be mainly dry in between, or else the hair won't look as shiny. So yeah, you're going to go around the head and get any spots you might have missed before you move on to letting it dry. And then you're just going to continue with more layers after that. And then once you are done more or less gelling, you're going to move on to the bun cover. When you put in the bun cover, you're going to want to put just a little bit of gel over the bun. You don't need to do a full layer of gel like you're putting on the rest of the hair. You just need a little bit, which will help the bun cover stick to the bun. So to begin, you're going to pull out the elastic and you're going to put it over the thing. When you pull the elastic, you're going to wrap it around as many times as you can. All bun covers are different, so some you might be able to get 4 or 5 and some you might only be able to get 2. It's just basically so that it's nice and super tight. Once you've done that, that is when you're going to start using the bun covers to secure it in. You cannot just use the elastic or else your bun cover will fall out. You need to use bobby pins to help secure it. So this one, again, you can use either bun pins or bobby pins, whatever works better. But when you're doing it, you're going to want to actually stick some bobby pins through the bun cover, not just on the elastic, because that'll really help it stay in and stay nice and secure. As well, you are probably going to want to put another layer of gel after you do the bun cover. So if I was doing 4 layers of gel, I would do 3 layers of gel, put in my bun cover, and then do my final one with the bun cover in. That way I just find my hair stays a little bit more secure in my bun. Once the bun cover is fully in and secure, that is where the gelling process comes to an end. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. There will also be a typed up instructions list which will have all of the ingredients and all of the tools you'll need to make the gel in a little bit more of a written step-by-step process. But thank you so much for watching and happy gelling!